And when I stepped up to lead Wales last August, the nation that shaped me, that raised me, that rooted my values, I did so with my eyes wide open. I have a strong sense of duty to my country, and I knew the scale of the task. I knew the weight of responsibility, and I knew that change was not only coming, it was needed for our government, our politics, and our people. A new voting system, a new era, Welsh Labour, a government that's already delivered for 26 years. But I also realised that the risks of a divided, anti-conservative left vote and the rise of the right-wing Reform Party put the whole shape of the future of Wales at stake. Time for change isn't just a slogan, it's a demand. And at the next Senedd elections, Labour will answer that call. We'll have a bigger, more diverse parliament, and we'll have fresh voices and new energy, but not everything will change, because I am here to stay. I'll be asking Wales to trust me to be the leader who takes us into that new era, ready to lead our nation with clarity, energy, and ambition, not just managing the present, but building a fairer, greener, and a more confident future. And whenever there's a choice between a short-term fix and long-term progress, I'm going to take the tough choice, the right choice, so the Wales we pass on to the next generation is stronger than the one we inherited. And I realise how difficult the path ahead will be. I've been a realist, but an optimist my whole life. You don't become the first woman First Minister in Wales without a healthy dose of both. So I know how difficult the situation is that we find ourselves in. The cost of living crisis, fueled by Putin's criminal war, a hard Brexit, and Trump threatening a tariff war that hits Welsh producers. We know that the global is becoming local. Welsh jobs, Welsh communities, Welsh futures are put at risk by seismic political and economic events. Now, I know that we all sometimes feel overwhelmed, but this is what I know about us. We're Welsh, and we don't back down when the going gets tough. We roll up our sleeves, we stand shoulder to shoulder, because we've always been a people who face hardship with hope and determination. We're realists, but we're also believers. We see the world as it is, but we never stop fighting for the world as it should be. That's the spirit of Welsh Labour. That's the heart of social democracy. We walk beside people. We don't divide them. Our politics isn't about putting people down. It's about quiet determination. It's about care. It's about compassion. It's about graft. Tough moments demand more than slogans. It demands strength, clarity, conviction. And after 30 years in politics, nationally and internationally, that's what I bring. This is no time for amateurs. I'm here to lead, not for me, but for Wales. Now, next year's Senedd elections is not just another political contest. It's a battle for the future of Wales. Now, according to Cardiff University's Wales Governance Centre, Welsh Labour is the most successful democratic political party in the world. We've been winning the most votes for over 103 years, but we never take the Welsh people for granted. We vote, we fight for every vote at every election, but the public shouldn't take it for granted that we will always lead in Wales. We are certainly not taking it for granted. We're up for the battle. And we're taking that battle really seriously because reform is no joke. They're loud and they're showy. They provide an easy story because they're new and they're disruptive. They sow and reap grievance. They offer simplistic responses and no real answers. And if you scratch the surface, what's underneath? A party with no answers for Welsh problems, no plan for our communities, no respect for devolution. They want to use Wales to make a point in the English press. Their leader, Farage, who's on record as admiring Putin and sucking up to Trump, he'd happily dismantle our NHS and sell off our public services. But we have seen Nigel Farage's party up close in the Senedd. In 2016, the UK Independence Party won 7 seats, but they fell apart as a group when they made contact with serious politics, with 6 of them leaving for 3 different groups. They call immigration the enemy, while ignoring the fact that our health and care system would collapse without migrant workers. They're cynical, they're dishonest, they're dangerous. Fear, fury, and false promises, the very worst of the Trump playbook. But they are ahead in some polls, and the risk has never been greater. Reform is surging in some of our communities. Trump won, Brexit won. The things they say can never happen are happening. Reform could win, and if they do, our NHS will be ruinously disabled, ruled by gesture, not responsible government. We can't allow their dangerous, divisive agenda to take hold in Wales. It's not who we are in Wales. So anyone tempted by reform, my message to you is simple. Come home to the party that built the NHS, that stands by our local councils, carers, health workers, teachers, pensioners, and the working people of Wales. We are the party that has fair play and opportunity at the core of our existence. We understand frustrations and aspirations because we are from and for the people. But we're not content just to be angry. We're going to seek to provide answers. This is where you belong. This is what it means to be Welsh. Solidarity, not spite. And to those who may be leaning towards Plaid Cymru, I say this. They promise independence. They promise a lot, but they expect someone else to foot the bill. They talk about nationalism and nationalising services, but they expect the English to pay. But when it's time to invest in those services, time to put their money where their mouth is, they vote against Labour's plan to make a difference. If you share our values and you're tempted by Plaid, ask yourself this. Is the prospect of reform slipping through the back door a risk that you're willing to take? A vote for Plaid risks letting reform take power. Now, next year won't be a free hit election. It'll be a high stakes election where every vote counts. We can't afford to gamble with our future. Plaid offers plenty of talk, but not else. And let's be honest, our people need less chat and more do. There's only one true party of Wales, a party rooted in solidarity, not in slogans, a party with the experience to govern and the values to guide. And that party is Welsh Labour, Gwir Plaid Cymru. Bydd etholiad ar Senedd y flwyddyn nesaf yn brawf aruthrol i'n gwlad. Mae angen newid, ac mi fydd na newid, system newid, gwynebau newid, polisïau newid. Ond mae reform wrth y drws a mae rhaid i atal nhw. Nid nawr yw'r amser am bleidlais brotest dros Blaid Cymru. Mae angen rhywun sydd â phrofiad o ddilifro a gweledigaeth ar adeg mor bygythiol. And to those who lean to the left and lend us your vote and question why you should do this again, let me say this. For the first time in over a decade, we have the wind at our backs and a moment of maximum opportunity. After 14 years of Tory austerity, at a time when people's bills were skyrocketing, we were swimming against the tide. But now we have Labour governments in place in both Westminster and in Cardiff. Two Labour governments working together. We have a UK Prime Minister led by a serious person in Keir Starmer who has reset the relationship with the Welsh Government. This is our chance to rebuild Wales, invest in our public services and secure a fairer economy for working people. Already, because of that Labour government in Westminster, we've seen the biggest boost to our budget since devolution began. And we're putting it to work in the areas which the people of Wales told me were important to them when I toured the country asking them to tell me what matters to them. And now we're totally focused on delivering on the people's priorities. Better health, bringing down waiting lists, the longest one tumbling for 3 months in a row, building new social homes and schools, connecting communities, getting more than 90% of rail journeys in Wales on brand new trains, most of them made in Wales by the end of next year, delivering jobs and opportunities, and yes, fixing 70,000 potholes along the way. But we're not just fixing what's broken, we're building something better. People I talk to are still stunned that Plaid Cymru teamed up with the Tories to try and block that budget. They risked billions for our NHS, our schools, our communities, while Labour delivered for the public good. Others played politics. Now, I know some people like to romanticize opposition, but you can't eat a protest. You can't house a family on a speech, and you don't cut waiting lists by voting with the Tories. Labour is also making other changes in Westminster that are transforming lives in Wales. Up to 160,000 people are better off because of the national minimum and living wage. Labour across the UK will attack exploitative zero-hours contracts and take on fire and re-hire practices, all measures opposed by reform. Importantly for us in Wales, the former mine workers have seen their pension boosted, righting an historic injustice after years of tireless campaigning. And these are all thanks to our Labour government in Westminster, supported by Welsh Labour MPs. To be honest though, it hasn't all been popular. The cuts in winter fuel allowance is something that comes up time and again, and I hope the UK government will rethink this policy. Mae dau lywodraeth yn cydweithio o ddydd i Gymru. Mae Llafur yn San Steffan ac yng Nghaerdydd yn rhoi gwasanaethau cyhoeddus yn gyntaf, ac mae hyn wedi arwain at y cynnydd mwyaf mewn cyllid ers cychwyn datganoli. Cyllid fe welon ni Plaid Cymru yn pleidleisio gyda'r toriad i stopio'r arian yma rhag cyrraedd pobl Cymru ar lawr gwlad. But everyone who knows me knows I'm a straight talker. I believe that as two Labour governments, we must do better. As First Minister and as leader of Welsh Labour, it's my job to argue for more, to make the case day in, day out. Now, last Christmas, millions of us watched the Gavin and Stacey finale. I love Gavin and Stacey. It's a love letter to Barry Island and a story about messy, modern families. That's how I see Welsh Labour within the UK family. Yes, we're part of something bigger, but like any family, we know when it's time to stand up and to speak out. We won't hesitate to challenge from within, even when that means shaking things up and disrupting the comfortable. Being polite is not the same as being quiet, and sometimes, being a vicar's daughter, I'm neither. And so, If, in our eyes, Westminster gets it wrong for Wales, we will call it out. We will do things our way, shaped by our Welsh values, our people, and our priorities. Now, our relationship with the UK government, it won't be like Dawn and Pete's in Gavin and Stacey, constantly clashing. Since Labour's election in July, our relationship with the UK government has improved immeasurably. But our relationship won't be like Pam and Mick's either, always laughing and getting along. There will be times when what's right for Essex is not right for Barry. Like Nessa and Smithy, there will be a bond, but there will also be issues. Now, I know that some are going to reach for easy headlines. We know that splits and spats make for easy news, but this isn't drama. This is honesty. This is responsibility. This is what leadership looks like. So where we disagree, we will say it. Where we see unfairness, we'll stand up for it. When Westminster makes decisions that we think will harm Welsh communities, we will not stay silent. This is not a split. This is grown-up, modern government. This is not disloyalty. This is patriotic responsibility. It's always been a part of our Welsh Labour tradition. The party of Aneurin Bevan, Jim Griffiths, Rhodri Morgan. We've always been proudly distinct. We believe in partnership in power, but we want Welsh voters to see more evidence of delivery before they cast their votes next May. We'll measure results by what happens in our communities, not by promises of what will happen. Now, today, we'll be championing a more modern approach to our relationship with the UK Labour government, an approach relevant to today's challenges, and we'll be leaning into our red Welsh way of doing things. Red, the colour of our rugby and football shirts, the colour of our dragon, the colour of our party and our politics. And the Welsh way, proudly distinct, rooted in justice, fiercely pro-devolution, reborn for a new generation. Bod ni'n partnu un teulu llafur, mi fydd na adegau, fel ym mhob teulu, lle byddwn ni'n cwmpo allan. A phan fyddwn ni'n anghytuno, mi fyddwn ni'n gwneud hynny'n glir, ac mi fyddwn ni'n dilyn ein ffordd goch Gymreig. Coch, lliw crysau rygbi ein gwlad, lliw ein draig, lliw ein plaid a'n gwleidyddiaeth. A'r ffordd Gymreig, llwybr unigryw, wedi sylfaenu ar gyfiawnder ac yn ffyrnig yn ein brwdfrydedd dros datganoli, wedi ail-eni am genhedlaeth newydd. We will keep insisting on a fair deal for Wales, and there are areas where we feel we've not had a fair crack of the whip, especially when it comes to our own natural resources. Wales powered Britain for generations through our coal. Our people paid with the sweat of their brows and the bones on their backs. It was the free market that drove men into the mines, hundreds of thousands of them working in appalling conditions to fuel an empire. But in Wales, we're still paying a price. Coal tips scar our valleys, and with climate change, they pose an increasing risk to our communities. But when it comes to cleaning up that legacy, that market's gone quiet. So we welcome the UK Labour government's 25 million contribution that was denied to us by the Tories. Together with our own Welsh Labour government funding, that means we're spending over 100 million on making disused tips safe this Senedd term. But let's be honest, this is a pre-devolution legacy. Welsh coal powered Britain's rise, and it's only fair that Westminster puts a lot more of the bill for the cleanup, so we're not forced to raid our own public services budget. And it's not just coal. In 1965, the UK government drowned a Welsh village, Tryweryn, without Welsh consent to supply water to Liverpool. Now, the nationalists have always tried to claim this as a fight that they uniquely took on. But I'm proud to say that not a single Welsh Labour MP supported the Conservative project when it went to a vote in 1957. Not one, because it was wrong. And today, we face a new frontier. Our wind, our seas, our coasts, vast energy potential. In this new generation, it must be the people and the communities of Wales that profit from our energy gifts. So we need a different approach to the one which just hands the power and resources to the Crown Estate over which we have no say. Let me be clear. We saw them take our coal. We saw them take our water. We will not let them take our wind. Not this time, not on my watch. Now, unlike Scotland, which already benefits to the tune of hundreds of millions of pounds annually, we receive no material benefit. And so if it's good enough for Scotland, it should be good enough for Wales. We're not asking for special treatment, we're asking for fair play. But I want to send a message to the renewable energy generators as well. We want you here. We'll work with the UK government to land this investment. Our issue is not with you, it's with a constitutional settlement that's unfair. And for us, this seems an ideal situation where both governments could see real benefits. So we need to see a better evidence in this case of partnership in power. We're looking for a commitment from the UK government to work together on developing our ports and infrastructure ready for that green revolution that's going to power our futures and cut carbon emissions. We want to realise the opportunities that come with that development. But we want a significant slice of the pie. We want to receive far more of the benefits from our own natural resources. And that will provide us with additional funding to support public services. And that's what the Welsh public want. We'll work with our local government colleagues to make the case for this injustice to be corrected. That's all we demand is fairness. Now, a key area where that very commitment to fairness is still lacking is in rail infrastructure. Few decisions better sum up the injustice Wales has faced than the way the Tories treated Wales when it came to rail. Promises were made and then broken on electrification of rail in North Wales and to Swansea, and we've seen serious underfunding of our rail infrastructure for over a decade, and an almighty injustice when it came to the classification of HS2 as an England and Wales project when not 1 inch of rail track was laid in Wales. Now, we understand that UK Labour has been in power for less than a year and is fighting an appalling Tory inheritance. But we are making our case to be put at the front of the queue for investment where we belong. We will keep pushing until this injustice is corrected, because decent transport isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline for communities, it's a foundation for economic growth. So once again, what we demand is our fair share on rail investment. Now, fair treatment for Wales isn't an abstract theory. It's real communities, real jobs and real futures. And that's why the Welsh Labour government will never stop fighting for Welsh steel. And we're proud that Joe Stevens, the Secretary of State for Wales, released money for the local communities within weeks of taking up her role as Secretary of State for Wales, whilst the Tories have been sitting on their hands for months. Steelmaking is a part of the fabric of our nation. And when Tata announced its plans for Port Talbot, Rishi Sunak wouldn't even pick up the phone to the then First Minister. Now, I got on a plane to meet with Tata executives face to face. I looked them in the eye and made the case for Welsh Steel, Welsh workers, Welsh communities, because that's what leadership means. It means showing up. It means doing everything in your power to protect jobs and livelihoods. It means standing shoulder to shoulder with steelworkers and their families, not just with words, but with actions. Now, I know how deeply wounded and worried people in our steel communities are feeling, and we won't stop fighting for them. We're going to push the UK government to ring-fence a significant amount from the Clean Steel Fund to protect steel making in Port Talbot, Llanwern, Shopton and Trostre. We demand our fair share when it comes to steel. A steel strategy won't work for the UK unless it works for Wales too. We won't settle for less. Now, this commitment to fairness doesn't stop at steel. It's the heart of our broader economic vision for Wales. We're fully aligned with the UK Labour government in their mission to grow the economy. So let's be clear, this time it's got to work for everyone. More jobs and growth are at the heart of our approach. And that's why we'll host a major investment summit in Newport this December. We'll bring global investors to Wales, not just to extract profit, but to be a part of a long-term, fair and forward-looking partnership. We want the UK Labour government to support us in attracting investment to Wales. And they've started through creating the Celtic and Anglesey free ports and investment zones, which is forecast to land billions of pounds and tens of thousands of jobs over the next decade. But we're not just interested in raw growth. We want growth with a purpose. Growth that reduces inequality. Growth that builds community wealth. Growth that lifts people out of poverty and respects the planet they live on. So Trump's reckless tariffs may feel like they're a world away, but they could hit Wales hard. In England, the vast majority of exports to the US are in services. In Wales, 2/3 of our exports to the US are in goods. In any trade deal with the US, we will insist also on protecting our rural areas, farmers and consumers from chlorinated chicken and hormone-injected beef. We need the UK government by our side, acting in Wales's interest by rebuilding the closest possible relationship with the EU, removing barriers to trade and protecting Welsh jobs from the fallout of populist protectionism. But there are other areas where that partnership in power has to deliver, helping us to drive those key growth sectors, including AI technology and compound semiconductors. The Welsh Government has long argued for fair funding for Wales. We know that the Barnett formula does not serve Wales well. It's outdated and it needs to be changed to reflect the needs of our country, not the numbers of people who live here. And I'm going to give you an example of why this matters. During the pandemic, Wales wasn't given enough vaccines when the priority was for over 65-year-olds to be protected. The formula failed to reflect the fact that 21% of our population is over 65 compared to 19% in the rest of the UK. Through the Barnett formula, we were given just under 5% of whatever England had as their base in terms of the elderly population, not ours. And if it weren't for our meticulous planning, our near zero tolerance approach to waste, and extraordinary efforts of the NHS in Wales, people could have died because of that unfair allocation. So that's the reality behind what might seem like an arcane debate about funding formulas. But let me be clear, without Barnett, flawed as it is, Wales would be worse off. So anyone flirting with Plaid and independence must reckon honestly with that, because leaving the UK would mean deeper cuts, not more money. We're not nationalists. We believe Wales is stronger in the United Kingdom, standing in solidarity with our neighbours across the border. But solidarity has to work both ways. It's time for a funding system that recognises our needs, respects our people, and reflects our reality. But that's not all. We've called for fiscal flexibility to make investments in our precious public services, and we've argued for fair treatment when it comes to national insurance to cover our public services. I ni mynnu cyfiawnder dros ein adnoddau naturiol, dros ein siarad teg am arian i'r ffiltr, am swm sylweddol I helpu ein diwydiant dydd, am newid i'r fformula Barnett, am mwy o arian am yswiriant cenedlaethol. Now, to create a fairer Wales, we also need a welfare system that empowers people. We know that welfare reform proposals are causing serious concern here, where we have a higher number of people dependent on disability benefits than elsewhere. We recognise that liberating communities from poverty and breaking that dependence on benefits and escaping the poverty trap is essential. We in Welsh Labour believe that everyone who can work should work. But right now, too many people in our communities, they feel written off. They feel judged, they feel forgotten, not because they've done anything wrong, but because they're living with long-term illness, disability, or the aftershocks of deindustrialisation that still echo through many of our valleys and our towns. Now, I want to take a moment to set out the scale of the issue in Wales. In some of our former coalfield communities, over 40% of working age adults are in receipt of disability benefits. We know that disability cuts are likely to hit Wales more than 6 times more proportionately in some areas in Wales compared to England. Wales, as a whole, has the highest proportion of 16 to 64-year-olds in receipt of PIP of all areas in England and Wales. In Wales, we believe in an opportunity welfare state, one that supports people to move forward when they can and stands beside them when they can't. But Partnership in Power should work both Wales. And we ask the UK government to come and take a look at our alternative approach to supporting people into work in Wales, where the system has already proven its worth. Because our Young Persons Guarantee Scheme ensures that every young person has the offer of education, training, or employment. And we've helped 50,000 young people and delivered 100,000 apprenticeships this Senate terms. And because of that, we now have almost half the number of young unemployed people in Wales compared to England. And we've delivered that through support, investment, encouragement, and trust, not We want to expand the approach that worked with young people and extend it to the adult disabled population, especially those living with long-term conditions. And that means tailored support, not a one-size-fits-all system which cuts benefits and is unlikely without massive individual support to deliver results. And we ask the UK government to work with us on this, follow our example when we know it works. And we want to be clear and firm. We will hold on to the Red Welsh way when it comes to our position on welfare, working together to get reforms right, but unafraid to raise our voice when we think they are wrong. Now, nothing speaks more about our values than the NHS, born from a Welsh idea, Bevan's idea, that healthcare should be based on need, not the ability to pay. That founding principle still burns in our hearts today. And as Health Minister, I was incredibly proud and honoured to see and support the extraordinary deeds of our more than 100,000 NHS staff in Wales. They are the lifeblood of our health service, and they deserve more than our thanks. They deserve our investment, and that's what they're getting from Welsh Labour, an above inflation pay rise with more money and staff than ever before to support our system. But we never turned our health service into a marketplace like the Tories did in England. We didn't let profit come before people. That's never been the Red Welsh way. And the good news is that we're making progress. Our longest waiting lists are tumbling. And let's not forget, this is happening because of that extra investment from the UK Chancellor. Investment that Plaid Cymru and the Tories voted to block. If that's Keir, tell him he's going to have to hang on a bit. The Welsh NHS is not a failing system in need of rescue. It's a public service that works and delivers more than 2.7 million in-person and remote contacts in a population of 3.1 million people every single month. And we're going to continue to keep true to its founding values, for the people, by the people. We're not here for competition, we're not here for privatisation, we are not Farage, that is not the Welsh Red way. In Wales, now in Wales we've always known healthcare is about people and not profit, and we are staying true to that vision. Now, after my listening exercise at the start of my term in office, I said I'd focus on the bread and butter issues that people told me were most important to them. And that's what we've done. The extra hundreds of millions that we received from the UK Labour government is being spent on the people's priorities. But we want to make faster progress to deepen our devolution journey, which will help to drive those priorities. We want to see progress on decision-making when it comes to the UK internal market, and further devolution when it comes to key public services like youth justice and probation. And critically, we want respect for devolution. That means that the UK government should never act in devolved areas without Welsh Government consent. We objected to this under the Tories, and we're not happy that this is continuing under Labour. Devolution is not a favour to be granted, it's not a privilege to be withdrawn. It is the settled will of the Welsh people, hard-won, deeply rooted and absolutely non-negotiable. So let's work together, each doing what we're elected to do, because when the Welsh Labour government leads on devolved issues and the Welsh office supports us, that is when Wales is at its stronger. I ni eisiau gweld lot fwy o barch tuag at ein setliad datganoli gan Lywodraeth y Deyrnas Unedig. For me, this has never been just about politics. It's about purpose. It's about values. Now, I grew up on one of the biggest council housing estates in Europe. And what that taught me right from the start is that every person matters. Every life has value. And that with the right support, every person has the potential to grow, not into just who they are, but into what they could be. That's just as true for a child in a working class community in Ely as it is for a middle class teenager struggling with their mental health in Britain. Everyone deserves a chance to thrive. My belief in devolution started on that estate. It was shaped by 15 years representing Wales in Europe. I saw, clear as day, that decisions work best when they're made closer to the people that they affect. That's the principle of subsidiarity. And for me, it's non-negotiable. The idea that progressive politics only happens in Westminster, that's yesterday's thinking. I'm Labour because I believe in the power of government to change lives. Unlocking people's potential doesn't happen by accident. It takes action in education, in health, in housing, in work, and in retirement. Now, this June, Welsh Labour will begin to set out our vision for the future. A future rooted in the values that have always guided us: solidarity, equality, sustainability, and justice. Because we believe that when people come together, they can shape a better society. And yes, we're proud that Wales is the only part of the United Kingdom with a social partnership law. Keir, you can learn from that as well. Our Red Welsh Labour Way, and it's working for the people of Wales. The Red Welsh Way has delivered free prescriptions, free bus passes for the over 60s, £100 weekly cap on domiciliary care, a real wage for care workers, free school breakfast and lunch in primary schools, the second best recycling rates in the world, education and maintenance allowance. But I warn people in Wales, be careful not to take these things for granted. These are political choices that Welsh Labour has made, and other parties can and will snatch them away from you. Mi fyddwn ni'n parhau ganolbwyntio ar delifro ar blaenoriaethau pobl Cymru, ac eisoes i ni wedi gweld y niferoedd sy'n aros amser hir ar ein restrau aros yn tymlo o ganlyniad i'r arian ychwanegol i ni wedi cael gan Lywodraeth Lafur y Deyrnas Unedig. Ond mae'n bwysig nad yw pobl Cymru yn cymryd y pethau sydd ganddyn nhw nawr yn ganiataol, fel presgripsiynau am ddim a teithio am ddim ar ein bysys y henoed. Mae rhain yn dewisiadau gwleidyddol ac fe fydd pleidiau eraill yn gwneud dewisiadau gwahanol. Bydd gwerthoedd y ffordd goch Gymreig yn sylfaen ein gwaith, Ac ym mis Mehefin, fyddwn ni'n dechrau amlinellu ein gweledigoedd am ddyfodol ein gwlad. I am proudly married to my nation, and I'm going to put my nation first, ahead of the extended family. It's nation and the people of Wales before party for me. That's what it says I should do on my Labour Party membership card. Putting the country first. I'm only doing what my party is telling me to do. We'll keep working with the UK Labour government where we agree, and we'll hold our ground where we don't. That's what respect looks like, mutual respect. We're not asking for favours, we're demanding fairness. But the people of Wales already know that every time a waiting list falls, or a pothole is filled, or a care home gets the help it needs, it's because Labour is working in partnership after the extra money we received from Westminster, due to our shared values of putting public services first. We will make our case loudly and proudly. This is our Wales, not the Wales of division or decline, but the Wales of solidarity, fairness and progress. That's the Red Welsh way. And the Welsh public will face a choice at the next election. We would like them to keep supporting a party which is listening and responding to the needs of the people, and will soon set out a compelling vision for the future of this great nation. Not just a slogan, but our compass, rooted in community, steered by solidarity and driven by the belief that nobody gets left behind. With the people of Wales behind us, we will win and build a better future for the people of Wales. We'll spend every minute from now until the election to win once again the trust of the Welsh people. Diolch yn fawr.